Welcome to the post-game programme here on SAFC Live. It's finished down at the MKM Stadium. Hull City won, Sunderland won. Honours even at the end there, Danny.
Yeah, and quite incident-packed in that second half, wasn't it? I think just looking back, and obviously we said at the end of the game there where they get a penalty early in that second half, we have a man sent off, you're down to 10 men for 35 minutes plus, and you come away with a point. So overall, I think it's a good point, coming off the back of a defeat last Monday against West Brom here at the Stadium of Light. So it's one you take, and I don't think we were at our best, if we're honest, in that first half with 11 men. Didn't quite get going into our stride like we know that the boys can.
In the post-game programme, we'll be looking at the latest scores from in and around the Championship. We'll also start, though, with the highlights from the game. And, of course, we want to hear your thoughts as well later on in #AskDanny. So this is a save very early on from Anthony Patterson. Neither goalkeeper really tested from, close range or, like a shot where they had to really test themselves.
Not too many one-on-ones as such. Obviously, Ross's, which we'll get onto. Yeah, that one, it's a cross, isn't it? Misses everyone. Going out, maybe just going wide of that post, but Anthony Patterson doesn't know that and he has to deal with it, and he does well. But yeah, I just think we never really got going. I said it in the first half, didn't I? We played a lot of nice football in front of Hull. Didn't really mix our game up as well as we can do. Just drop a ball or two in behind, and again that'll show in Ross's goal. I know it's on the counter attack, but that's what you've got to do sometimes. And defenders are happy when the game's in front of them and they can see everything what's going on. But as soon as you chuck a couple of balls down the channel, if you've got Sims or Ahmad, whoever it is out there, Clark running in behind it, just that doubt in the defenders' heads. They drop a little bit deeper and the pitch then opens up for you to play the football in front of them. But we didn't do that enough in the first half, and we never really got going. And I think if you're looking from Hull's point of view, they're struggling down that bottom end of the table. New manager come in recently. I think that maybe doesn't represent how they are as a team. Yeah. Especially on today's performance, I think that they did quite a good turnout for Lee Massini this afternoon, didn't they? Yeah, I think so. And good balls coming into the box. I said there, the full-back was getting forward. Seen there putting another one in. Coyle from that right-hand side, but the main man was Longman, wasn't it? Again, similar to Jed Wallace for West Brom. He put 4 or 5 excellent balls into the middle of the box. See that one there? A lot of, that's not even a half chance, is it there? But you've seen Jack Clark trying to get in at the far post. Just a yard or two, too much pace on it from Lyndon Gooch, goes out the far side. And we did have 1 or 2 half chances, which we'll see in a minute, towards the end of that first half, Ahmad being one. Dan Ballard come off the bench and thought he'd done well, obviously. Unfortunately for him, involved in the penalty, but Hull missed it anyway. But yeah, just a slight mistiming on his challenge. But he was in the thick of the action when he come off the bench. And as you said there, he's only played, I think, 60-odd minutes. And he's been missing since 3rd, 4th game of the season, hasn't he, with his ankle injury. So credit to him. He come on and played his part as well. And here's those chances I'm on about now. That one there, that's what we're capable of. And we've seen it throughout the season. Lovely ball in. Just little 5-10 yard balls into Elliot Embleton. Into Ellis Simms' path, doesn't get the strike he's looking for. I think he's having to hold off the full-back there, and then he gets the drive away, but high and up and over the top of the crossbar. And this one, a few minutes later for Ahmad as well. And they say you expect him to do better. We only reasonably say that because we've seen what he's capable of in recent weeks, and he'll be disappointed he hasn't at least hit the target or worked the goalkeeper there. So he puts his laces through it and drags it past that right-hand side post. And this was the one, wasn't it? Dan Ballard, Longman coming in. Strike away.
Top of the head there.
Yeah, cracks him. Hopefully Dan's okay. He might be seeing stars on the bus on the way back. But
certainly be feeling this match, having to be called upon within 10 or 11 minutes.
Well, yeah, and you can see him late on. I think he's cut the back of his socks out there to try and let his calves breathe. And, he bit of cramp, I think, late on, didn't he, as well? A couple of minutes to go, but he's played his part and put a shift in. And that was a good bit of defending from Luke O'Nien there. He knows he's the wrong side of the man. See, when the cross comes in, he's behind him. So he has to put pressure on him and hooks his leg around him and gets a good clearance on it there. So in that first half, there wasn't too many clear-cut chances.
Second half
into
penalty.
That second half,
Ballard's involved again.
Yeah, it was a funny one. Straight away, I thought, he's played the ball, because naturally you look which way the ball's gone. But I think this one you can see is his shin. Bang, it's onto his shin and maybe toes the ball after it. And as we said there, you always look at a player's reaction. And even though Dan points to the ball there, he gets up and he doesn't really say too much to the referee, does he? But
what about this one? Poor penalty?
Dreadful strike, isn't it? I mean, you can miss penalties, and we won't get onto that obviously with Harry Kane and England too much. But at least you think
the
you want to say,
in you there.
You want to say, don't you work the goalkeeper at least? But credit to Pato, he goes the right way, and I think even if it's on target, I think he's probably saving that, isn't he? So it's the let off, and then we're saying now it lifts us a little bit. But a few minutes later, there's the incident now.
Right, let's have a good look at this, because we've only seen it once.
Yeah, do you know what, though? The ref is looking at, he sees Elliott go in with a high boot. You see at this angle now. See there, can he go in with his head? Maybe. I think probably. I mean, Woods goes up, doesn't really go in with anything. He knows what's coming in the challenge. And he's caught him around his hip, hasn't he, with his boot. So, do you know what? For me, it's one of them where you'll get some people who'll say, yeah, it's a red. He goes in with a high boot. He does go in, sort of studs showing a little bit, doesn't he? So, it's one of them. Some refs will say it's a red and send him off. Some will say it's a strong yellow, high boot, etc. And it's one of them, you have to get on with it. And hopefully Elliott's going to be okay, because he didn't look in good condition on that stretcher coming off.
Big decision, though, in the game, and a big moment in the game. The game kind of seemed to come to life after that, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, a lot of incident after that. And this one again, coiled ball in there, just over the top of the striker, trying to get on the end of it. And then you see it, and we're thinking now it's all going to be Hull. You can see there almost the front five. Another one in. Longman, lovely ball in. He's fizzing lovely balls in all afternoon, and that one there.
Bad header again here for Messi.
Yeah, it is. When you see it, I thought first he's at the top of his jump, he can't get over it. But this one now, you see that, gets a good strike on it. He'll be disappointed with that. And here's the goal on the counter. They think this was a foul.
Ballard just nicked it again.
Yeah, not too many Hull players arguing it, but from their point of view, they're going to be not too happy with it defending on there, because they're switched off at the back, and Ross just runs between the two defenders.
Lets it bounce twice and then slots it home.
But from our point of view, Patrick drops a lovely ball over the top, gets his head up. There you go, Ross, get on your bike. And then the keeper comes, and it's one of them, isn't it? And don't you usually see the striker just try and loop it up over the goalie, but makes the keeper look a little bit silly, because he does the star jump there and he just rolls it underneath him. Lovely finish.
In this situation, are the defenders waiting for Ingram to come and take it there?
I think it's a combination. They're ball watching at the other end. They're thinking they've got good possession. Obviously, we're down to 10 men, but they're switched off, and that's what you. Obviously, as a coach, I'll tell you, you've got to stay focused at the back. When the ball's at the other end of the pitch, make sure you're focused. And Ross just runs between the two of them, and then you're asking Patrick, can you drop it through with a lovely weight? And he can do. And as you said, it drops three, 4 bounces, and Ross just strokes it underneath the goalkeeper. And then after there, now they're having a lot of the ball. You see the numbers they've got forward, and unfortunately, we can't see the game out and
Tufan comes up with the goal.
Yeah, from this one.
Just coming on, subs involved for them as well.
And impact on the game at both ends of the pitch. And Dan Ballard comes across, looks after Estupiñán, and then Linden's got a man behind him, so they've got the man over. They're almost 3v2 at the far side. You see there, and Linden's got a couple to try and deal with. Unfortunately, we can't deal with the situation, and it's a good finish, to be fair to him. He hooks it around with his right leg, doesn't he? And Patterson's got no chance, I think. And then after there, I'm just thinking, now can we see it out? I know you're saying, can we go up the other end and nick it? And listen, there's always that possibility when you've got the likes of Ross on the pitch, Patrick, capable
I'm just thinking, we scored with 10 men on the pitch anyway.
Yes, yeah, no, of course, yeah. And look at the shirts they've got, committed forward as well. 8-9 bodies there, and all it takes is tidy on the counter-attack on the turnover. But we never had that other opportunity, did we, on the counter? But no, I think getting back on the bus there, I think Tony Mowbray and the staff and the lads, they'll be delighted, really. We weren't at our best. We know we can play better than what we have done. Man sent off, they've missed a penalty, they've had a lot of the ball in the second half. The only disappointment is when you've got yourselves in front, and then you're thinking, can we see the game out? But unfortunately, we couldn't do. But I think overall, I'd be delighted with the point there.
Let's see then what that does for... Well, we'll have a look at the latest scores if we can. And then we'll have a look what it does for the league table. But these are the full-time scores from in and around the Championship this afternoon. Bristol City 1, Stoke City 2, Burnley 3, Middlesbrough 1, Cardiff City 1, Blackpool 1, Coventry 3, Swansea 3, Huddersfield 0, Watford 2, Preston 0, QPR 1, West Brom continuing a good run with a 3-0 win at home against Rotherham.
Yeah, continued, haven't they, from where they left off there, West Brom. It's like 5 wins in 6 now since the new manager come in, so big credit to them.
Sunderland get a point from today's game. They go to 12th. I think they were 11th before the weekend, but all the matches have been played so far. They've settled at 12th.
Yes, that's
pretty much
all the teams on
bang in the middle, halfway through the season, Danny.
Yeah, and that's I keep saying it, though,
perfect.
That's where we are. Would I've taken that before the start of the season? Probably. I think, I say disappointment. The only thing that a lot of fans will say, and we've seen every team now, that's the last of the teams to play. We're not miles away from all the other teams, are we? What we've seen. Yeah. I mean, you look at teams in and around us there. Birmingham, we went there and beat them. Millwall, we beat
just those
them.
4 teams above us on
Yeah.
1 point more than us as
Yeah.
well. Of course, if you look down, it's quite as tight as well. But looking at the positives from today's game, before we look at your thoughts on today's game through the hashtag Ask Danny, positives: Ross Stewart coming back onto the bench and scoring this afternoon. Dan Ballard playing 90 minutes effectively, didn't he?
Yeah,
because of the added time.
Yeah, of course he did.
These are positives for Sunderland as we move into the second half of the season.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, massive. But for the fans down there today, and obviously people watching as well, seeing Ross coming back out there. We thought he was going to be involved last week. Apparently, he felt something during the week, so he wasn't involved. There's obviously worry about his contract, and obviously clubs showing an interest as well. But one thing he does do when he comes onto the pitch, Ross, you know what you're going to get is work rate, not just at the top end of the pitch as well, what he does in our box. You see there 2 or 3 balls he's come back, headed them out of that near post area, hold up play in general, everything about him. I don't want to say too much here, there might be other clubs watching. But no, I just enjoy watching him and taking his goals.
I think the secret's out now. He's been that good for a couple of seasons now, Danny. If you had to pull anyone out for man of the match this afternoon for Sunderland, someone maybe through the back, maybe Ballard coming back on. He'd playing Ballard that long and he was involved in everything. And we mean everything.
Yeah, give the penalty as well. But no, listen, first off, he made 2 or 3 good blocks, didn't he? Got his head on that one, which rocked him as well. Seen a couple of clips, but overlapping here as well, which you won't want to see too many of them being out for such a long time with the old gas tank down the right wing. And but this is what he's all about though as well, Dan. He's comfortable on the ball. And we only seen him early on in the season, 3-4 games, and obviously pre-season. But I think you can see where he's been at Arsenal. He looks like he wants to bring the ball out from the back, but he's a big old unit as well. And there you see him there, big, strong, clears that one. Then he adjusts, gets into position at the near post, gets the blocking as well. So he enjoys defending, he enjoys stepping out with the ball as well. You can see all that, but he's going to get fitter obviously by playing games of football and getting back into full training with the boys. Before today, what did he have? Was it 60 odd minutes for the under 23s or 21s? What we're going with last week. So massive credit to him, and he'll want to fight now and try and get that shirt. And that's what it's about. Hopefully Danny's okay by the way as well. Yeah, feeling his calf, wasn't he, coming off there? And he's been immense this season, Danny. But competition at the back, Bailey Wright as well, not involved. Luke O'Nien again, I thought Luke was excellent alongside him again. A couple of good challenges, reads the game well at the back, so positives to take from the game.
Let's have a look at your thoughts then as we look at the hashtag Ask Danny's. This one is from Chris, who says, do you think warm weather training makes any sense to come back to a freezing in Sunderland? Surely a training session in Iceland would have prepared them better. It's Chris, an even colder Arkansas, USA.
It's a good point, isn't it, really, when you think about it? Yeah, because they had a week off, didn't they, to, I think, sit time with their families and do stuff, and then obviously they all flew out to Dubai, wasn't it, they went?
They went to Dubai, they played a Saudi team, that's where the confusion might be. Yeah, Qatar as well, World Cup final.
And then you're training, and it is different, you're going out there. By all accounts, I've spoke to a few of the coaches, and they did put them through it, and they had some tough training sessions, and in that heat, I never used to enjoy it. Pre-season, I've been all over.
But there's less chance of muscle injuries in the heat, isn't there? That's why the decision's been made, I guess.
But then it's adjusting from training 25 to 30 odd degrees to coming back here, and it's been minus all week, hasn't it? So you have to adjust and adapt, and it obviously comes into play with all the muscles and stuff. So whether that's played its part in 1 or 2, I'm not sure. But it is, it does make you think about it, really, doesn't it? I know pre-season, you obviously go away, usually in the summer somewhere, play your pre-season games. Yeah. But you're kicking off July and August time, really, aren't you, over here, where it's at the peak of the heat in the UK. So it's a strange one. It's a good point, yeah.
Good point. Chris. Let's move on to the next one here on hashtag Ask Danny. It's from our friend, Mr. Spencer, who says, a very healthy looking bench showing decent squad depth today. Danny, in your playing days, which squad bench stood out for its depth? Also, what was the strongest 11 you played in, Dave, in Malaysia?
He's asking me to cast my mind back here, isn't he? He's on about my time at Sunderland. I'm thinking, I've seen obviously clips from when we played Hull down there that time when we went down, was it 4-0 or 4-1 we beat them? But you're looking at obviously Jibril, Kenwyn, Steve Malbronk, and I always say Steve was probably the best technical player I played with in my time at the club. Throughout that team, really some good talent in the squad. Kieran scored as well. So these types of players, we're looking at comparing sort of players, really. Kieran is your Ahmad, really, isn't he? On his day, Kieran, lovely left foot, he could strike a ball, cause problems for the opposition. And obviously in terms of your bench, I can't cast my mind back as far as what he's asking. Played a lot of football since then. But yeah, you need that strength, and that's what we're talking about. And we spoke about it before the game today, and we looked at the team. The names.
The bench was just as exciting as the starting 11, wasn't it today?
And obviously the names that aren't involved. There's Trey Hume and Huggins. You look at their last appearances. Birmingham away,
Decent,
putting a great shift, not involved.
Bailey, who's been at the World Cup.
Bailey's been away with the World Cup, and I feel for Bailey again, really, because he got into the team, hadn't he, before he went away. And then obviously he's come back from the World Cup, and he finds himself out of the squad.
If Danny Bart is out, he could find himself back involved on Boxing Day. Pritchard missing out today as well with an injury. And it looks like Elliott's going to be out for a while there. So
from there, so it's interesting. So I'm sure that's what Tony Mowbray and the staff will be assessing now straight away. That game's gone, but what are the numbers like? What's
exactly?
The
it's typical. We get players back on the bench and then we lose a couple as well.
Yeah, it is. I touch wood. I put that curse on us a bit because I've been there myself where you pop into the physio room, you get your strap-ins before training, and it's empty, and then all of a sudden within 2-3 weeks you go back in there. It's about 6 or 7 bodies, and it's just how it works in football. It's a strange one. I know fans sometimes say, "What's going on? What are they doing in training? What are they doing too much? Are they doing not enough? What's happening?" It's just sometimes it's just how football works, and you seem to go through the squad where you get 1 or 2 injuries. But as we say there, you're looking at the strength in the squad and lads who aren't involved. Matete not involved again. Diaku not involved. Just off the top of your head, there, names Mishu. What's happening to him?
He might have to be involved.
So these lads need to step up now and obviously coming into the squad and compete for places.
Opportunity for players in the second part of the season. Final hashtag Ask Danny now from Hugh. Hello, Hugh. It's great to see Stewart back on the pitch and grab himself a goal, Danny. How big of a moment is that for him, especially mentally, with Stewart being injured for a while?
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it? And
good points from Hugh there.
Yeah, for him, it's 15 plus games he's been out, isn't it, since that Middlesbrough game where he'd done it in the warm-up. And luckily I didn't have too many. I had one where I was out for 10 weeks at Nottingham Forest, and it's horrible. Hate being on the bench, let alone not being involved. And you're watching the boys training out of the treatment room window, or you're with the physio going for a walk, and the boys are out there, and you just want to be back out there. And I'm sure that's what it's been like for Ross, and obviously some of the other boys who have been injured as well. And after the start he'd had to the season as well, Ross, was it 5 goals early on, didn't he? Got off to a flyer, carried on from where he left off last season. So for him, getting back out there today, not just getting back on the pitch, but for being on there for 10 minutes or so, and he's back amongst the goals. Yeah. And what a lovely, calm finish it was. But yeah, you're hoping now Ross stays injury free and he can kick on, and especially into this second half of this. Stop laughing there. I'm not going to mention any interest in Ross Stewart. Just to get his head down, work hard, and do a job for Sunderland, and get amongst the goals between now and the end of the season.
Well, I'm sure Tony Mowbray will just want some of those injuries back for Christmas as we move into the Christmas period. And Sunderland are next in action on Boxing Day at the Stadium of Light. 12:30 kick-off against Blackburn Rovers. And as you said, Danny, during commentary, we owe them one for the game down at Ewood Park. That's when we're back here on SAFC Live. All that's left for us to do is say thanks for joining us around the world today. And we wish you a very Merry Christmas from everyone at Sunderland Football Club.